Welcome to this video walkthrough of our EcoSchools online application system. So in order to access the EcoSchools online application system, you can first navigate to our Keep Scotland Beautiful Climate Action Schools page. If you scroll down the page, you'll find our EcoSchools page. And within our EcoSchools page, in the left-hand menu, is a login option. And within this page, you just click this blue button and that will take you to the login page. So I already have that open here. Now you'll notice if you are looking at the web address, this looks slightly different to the one that you'll actually see. That's just because we're using our development site to demonstrate the application system, as we can't demonstrate an application within the live site. So once you've got to the login page, you're going to put in your username and password. The username will now be an email address, and it will be by default be the email address of your main school admin account. You can change that username, and I'll show you how to do that later, but do think carefully before doing so, in case the person that you change the username to leaves the school, as they will still have access to your EcoSchools account. If you are not sure what your password is, you can reset it by clicking on this option here, and that will take you to a password reset page. And there you input the email address for your EcoSchools account. So as I say, that will now by default be your main admin address for your school or nursery. And then you click email link, and a link will be sent to that email address, and you can reset your password. If you have a pupil login, we'll go through how to set up a pupil login later, but you will need to reset pupils' passwords as an EcoSchools coordinator, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. So we're going to type our username and password here. So I'm just using a fake address. I'm going to put my username and my password in. And this will bring up the welcome page. So you can see a little welcome message here. In blue, you will have any notifications for things that you have to check. Just ignore this one. So this is if your application was closed. So we closed a previous application in this test site. But it might say here, you'll see when we look later whether you've got feedback on your action plan or whether your final application has been approved or not. Further down, you will see how long your current green flag award is valid until, so you can check whether it's still valid or not. And then at the bottom here, you can see an option to start a new application. So you'll click this button to start a new application. Before we go through an application, I'm just going to show you the other options within your welcome page. So you have the option to click this button and view previous application feedback. So that will take you to feedback from your last application if you have one recently. You can also go down here and click on your school details. So if I do that, that gives me the details of my school or nursery, so I can then go and update them. So you can't change the name of your school or nursery or the seed number because those things are permanent, but you can change the address if the address changes. You can change the category of your provision. You can also update the main email address here and change number of pupils and teachers. And you can see here we've got 2 contacts saved. So you can add a new contact here by adding in their details. And then you can also indicate here whether the contact is a head teacher or a main contact. So main contacts will receive emails from the online application system. And you can also update any contact. So if I want to update my contact to say I'm now a main contact, I can do so here. So it now says that I'm a main contact. And I can also delete contacts as well. So if I wanted to delete this contact, I can press this button and delete the contact, and we'll be left with just one contact. So do make sure your contact details are up to date. Second option in your menu on the left here is to check your award history. So if I click that option, this shows the award history for this setting. Now you'll see there's a lot of applications closed here. That's just because this is a test site. But you can see previously where you've had green flag awards, and that goes all the way back in history. So if you've had older green flag awards on the old system, you can view your previous action plans and journey reports, including your certificates and your feedback. And then in the new system, you'll just see view application, and you'll be able to view the whole of your previous applications. All the information will be saved. So you can go and view that there. We now have the option for pupils to have access to the EcoSchool site, and I'll show you what they can see later. In here, you can update the password for your pupil access account. Now, in order to get pupil access, you do need to contact us at ecoschools@keepscotlandbeautiful.org to request a pupil access login for your school. So you need to request that first. When that's been done, you'll see there's a username here. So the username will appear here, and then you can update the password from here. But you have to contact us initially to set this up. There won't be one automatically set up for you because we have to set up appropriate usernames. You can also go into this link on the left-hand menu of the Eco Coordinator Account Management. And within here, you can change the default email. So this isn't the contact emails. The contact emails are where we automatically send information about feedback or applications. This email is the email that you use to log in. So like I say, that will automatically be your school's main admin account. But if you do want to change that, and you're sure you want to change that, you can change that here. You can also change your password by updating it here. So once you've done that, you can go just click home, and that will take you back to the welcome page. So let's get ready to start a new application. So you can click the box here in green or up in the menu over here. So I'm going to start a new application, and I'm going to say, yes, I definitely want to start a new application. Click confirm. So this is now the application page. I won't take you all the way down it, but one of the new things that we have with the application system is you can now view all of the application on one page. So all of your application, all of the boxes are available for you to complete from the first day of starting your Green Flag Award. So this application does not have to be completed at the end of your application period. In fact, we'd advise that you start filling it in straight away as soon as you've started your new Green Flag Award period. So you can see on the left, we've got the option for the home dashboard, which just takes you back to the home page that we were on before. And then you can use these indented links to click to any part of your application. So you can skip to a part that you want to complete. There's also an option here for environmental review, which I'll show you in a little bit. And we also now have a notes page. So the notes page is just for you. So if you click on the notes page, it just comes up with basically a text box, and it allows you to add any notes that you want to. And it also allows pupils to add their notes as well. So these do not form part of your application. They are not assessed. They're simply a way of storing your own thoughts about this current application for future reference. This is particularly useful if you have staff members changing in your school and maybe your eco coordinator is about to leave. They can leave some notes for the next eco coordinator to then see where you are up to with your application. Or it might be, like I said, that pupils want to leave some notes as to what they're doing. So you can type some notes in here. You'll notice at the bottom here, the Save Progress button. So always make sure to save your progress before navigating away. The whole application will time out after a period of 20 minutes. So make sure that you're saving your progress as you go. So let's go back to the application and we'll start to complete it. So we'll start with the first section, which is Eco Committee. So you'll notice that there's a little bit of information at the top of each section to say what the section is about and what you need to do. There's also links within these sections that will take you away from this site to another page. They will open in a new tab, so you won't lose what you've got on this page, but that will just give you more information if you're not sure about what's required for each section in terms of what you need to do as part of your award. You'll also notice these little red asterisks. These denote the mandatory parts of the application. If these are not completed, when you come to try to submit your application at the end, it won't work and it will tell you there's an issue, and it will tell you where the issue is, and we'll see that later. So all you need to do actually in this section is say that you have formed an eco committee. So we can tick this box. We do have a text box here to ask you to tell us a bit more about your eco committee. This is not mandatory, but it just helps us to find out a little bit more about your school, to learn a little bit more about how you're running your eco committee. So you can click the box and type into it, or you can also complete this as text in a Word document or other notes page and copy and paste the information in, whatever's easier for you. Now you'll notice that this box has quite a large text amount, so it's up to 2,500 characters. Now that's not because we expect you to fill that in, and as you can see here, this would be more than adequate. What's been put in here is an example, but it's just to provide, if you do want to use that for any particular reason, we've given you plenty of space, but don't feel the need to fill it. We're also interested in how many pupils make up your eco committee. Again, not mandatory, but it's just really useful information for us to get a picture of your school. And you can put that in as any number. So maybe I've got 6 members of my eco committee, so I'm going to put that in there. And then make sure you save your progress. So I'm going to click this box and it'll tell me that it's saved. So we can make sure we're keeping everything saved. So the second section is the environmental review. Again, you can click here to find out more, and you can also click to get access to our templates as well. So the first question is, how did you carry out your environmental review? That's the only mandatory part of this, and this is just so we can get an idea as to how the environmental review is being done, so we can make sure we have the correct resources in place to support you. So you can click use the PDF template, which you'll find on our environmental review page. Complete it online, which I'll show you in a minute, which is accessed from the menu on the left. Or if you wanted to create your own version, you can do that as well. You don't have to use our templates. So I'm going to say completed online, and then I'm going to show you how to complete it online. So I'm going to save my progress, because this will navigate me away from the page, so I want to make sure I've saved my progress as I go. And I'm going to click the environmental review option here. So this gives you the option here to then select from our general environmental review or our pictorial environmental review, which is supported by Boardmaker symbols. Please note that once you've chosen one of these, you can't then choose a different one for this particular application. So make sure you're sure which one you want to use. And you can click this link here to view the PDF versions before you commit to which one you want. So I'm going to choose the general environmental review. So I'll click there. And that will take me into the general environmental review page. And I won't go through all this with you, but it gives you instructions as to what to do. You can fill in the text boxes here. And you can also click onto the boxes. So ask these questions with your eco committee, and then you can answer them and save your progress at the bottom. Always make sure you save your progress as you go, and you can see that that's been saved. And so you can come back and you can complete this over a variety of sessions if you want to. It doesn't have to be done in one. You can keep revisiting this as you go. So let's go back to the application. I'm going to go back down to where I was. So I've completed my environmental review online. Here we'd like to know a little bit about what your environmental review told you and how it helped you to decide on your aims. So again, this is not mandatory, just gives us a good idea as to what's happening within your school or nursery. So I'm just going to copy some information across again. So just a little bit of information about my environmental review. And I'm going to save my progress. So our next section is our draft action plan. So you do have to use an action plan to organise your work, but it is no longer mandatory to have feedback on your draft action plan before proceeding to submit your final application. So you do need to have an action plan, but you don't have to get feedback on it. We do strongly recommend that you ask for feedback on your action plan to make sure that you are fulfilling the criteria of the award, because it's a great opportunity for us to be able to tell you if there are any issues with your action plan and the actions you're carrying out, so you can correct those before the final application is submitted. Please remember that when you're completing your action plan, that your action plan should cover the full previous 2-year period if you are renewing your application, or 1 year if you are rejoining the programme or completing your first ever award. Make sure that you have at least 9 actions that cover at least 3 topics. You must choose climate action as one of your topics and work towards that as part of your eco-schools work. And you need to do at least 1 litter pick per year. Now, if you do want feedback, which we highly recommend on a draft of your action plan, we recommend doing that within about 3 months of starting your new Green Flag Award. You don't have to do it exactly then, but that's just a good period to have started your eco committee, done your environmental review and made some plans. So you have to say that you have a draft action plan, because you need to have one and use that as your working document. You can save a copy here without getting feedback if you want to. So you can upload a file or link to a file. So I'm going to upload a file. So I click Upload Files, and I can drag and drop files here to upload, or I can also click, and that will take me to my files, and I can choose a file to upload. You can see the file will then upload, and a tick will appear when it's done correctly. So you can upload up to 3 files here, with each size being a maximum of 5 megabytes. So I'm going to click Done, and my action plan has been uploaded. I could also add a link if I wanted, or I just type the link in here and say yes or no when I've got it correct. So this is my action plan here, and I would like some feedback. So you can see here that now I've uploaded an action plan. The request feedback button has appeared. So please do note that if you do want feedback on your action plan, you don't actually have to fill in any part of the application other than uploading your action plan, saying that you've got one, and then requesting feedback. So you can skip the eco committee and environmental review sections before getting feedback if you would like to. So I'm going to hit request feedback, and then an option comes up to check my school contacts. So I want to make sure that my contacts are correct, and because this is the contact that will receive the emails about my action plan feedback. So I've checked the contacts, I'm happy that they're okay. I might add a new contact if I think someone else needs to know about the action plan feedback, but I've decided that this contact is okay. So I can cancel the feedback request if I've changed my mind and want to do something else, or I can see that the contacts are okay, so I'm going to save all and request feedback. So now I have requested my feedback. It says that we'll aim to get back to you within 3 weeks. And if I go to my home dashboard, I can see that there's nothing showing at the moment because my feedback hasn't come back yet. So if I wanted to, I could carry on filling in other parts of the application while I'm waiting for my feedback. But just now, I'm going to wait for some feedback to arrive. So I've logged out and I've had an email to say that some feedback is there, or maybe I've just decided I'm going to check back to see if my feedback has come in. I've put my username and password into the login page again, and I'm going to log in. And I can see that when I come back to my welcome page, that it tells me that my draft action plan feedback is ready. So I can click this link here, which will take me straight into my application. And I can scroll down past all of the bits I filled in previously, and I can see that my feedback has now been received. So you'll have a bit of a range of feedback depending on your action plan. So this feedback includes a bit of information on some things I might want to change and make sure I do, to make sure that I definitely get my Green Flag Award. And there also might be some suggestions of additional activities depending on what stage of the Green Flag Award I'm at. And it will also include who assessed your action plan, along with some contact details if you want some more information, further details on what to do to address your feedback. So I've had my feedback on my draft action plan. I'm now going to proceed to do the rest of my application. So I need to decide what topics I'm working on during my Green Flag Award period. Climate action is our mandatory topic, so you can see that's automatically being ticked. But you need to indicate which topics you're actually working on. So this time I'm working on litter and waste and biodiversity. Now you might want to change your mind partway through, so maybe we started on biodiversity but stopped doing that project and started working on school grounds instead. But you can pick as many topics as you want to, so you're not limited to 3. It's a minimum of 3, including climate action, but maybe I also did biodiversity as well as school grounds, so I'm going to pick 4 topics. Next, we come down to the main place where you'll submit the evidence of your Green Flag Award. So this includes all of your measuring, how you involved your community, and what you've learned, and how that links to the curriculum. You can find information here on what you need to include, and there's further guidance with a link here to our website. One thing that you must include is a final action plan with the evaluation column completed, so that we can see what you've actually managed to achieve. So again, you can upload your files. So I'm going to upload my final action plan. So make sure that that isn't just your draft action plan. Again, make sure that it is a final action plan with all of the full information completed. And then actually I'm going to upload a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to upload that. And you can see that this file is actually too big. So this is an 8.5 megabyte file. So as I said before, the file size limit is 5 megabytes. So I can't upload that. So I'm going to pick a different file that's a bit smaller. So that will just upload there. And like I say, you can upload up to 3 files here. If you do have more files that you can't send us via a link and you want to share those, you can send them via email to ecoschools@keepscotlandbeautiful.org, and then we'll be able to see those files. So if they are too big, then you can share them that way. So that file's uploaded now. So I can see that I've uploaded an action plan and also a PowerPoint presentation that has some images and also some further information to support my application. You can also add a link. So I might add a link to, for example, a Sway or a Google Drive file or a SharePoint file. Please make sure that if you are linking to Google Drive and SharePoint files and those kind of file sharing sites, that you grant permission for us to be able to view the files. If we can't view the files, we will email you, but please try and make sure the permissions are in place first. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to have this. So now I've got 2 files and a link there saved. So most of the rest of this section is information for us so that we can understand, again, a bit more about your application. So this bit is not mandatory. So this is just a bit of information on pupil voice. So this is what we'd like your eco committee to complete. So what they enjoyed about their eco schools work, what they learned, if there's any stories that they would like to share. So you might ask them, and again, I'm just going to copy in some information that maybe some pupils shared with you. Or again, like I say, you can get pupils to complete that themselves using the pupil login, which I'll show you later. The next two bits are mandatory. So I say you need to carry out at least one litter pick per year for an award. So you need to make sure that this number is greater than 0. Now you might carry out lots of litter picks. And if you do them as a very regular thing, just try and give us a good estimate of the number that have been carried out. So I've carried out 10 litter picks during my award period. And then we'd like to know whether this was within your school grounds or your community. So that just means anywhere out with your school grounds, or whether it was in both. So I had a couple of litter picks in the school grounds, and we also did some community ones. So I'm going to say both. You can also tell us a little bit more about your litter picking activities. So again, I'm going to just copy and paste some information in here. Again, this is just so we can get in a picture of how you're getting on with this aspect of your eco schools work. Say it's not mandatory, but it just gives us a bit more information so we can see how you're getting on. Then we have a section on activities that you might have taken part in that are part of our climate action topic. None of these are mandatory. You don't have to have done any of them, but please tick as many as you have taken part in. So for example, I worked on food waste as part of my award, and also we held a swap shop. And I'm going to save my progress again to make sure that that's all saved. Here you have the opportunity to identify which sustainable development goals relate to your eco schools work. So you can select as many as you want to. If you change your mind, you can just click them again to de-tick them and save your progress. The next section is Eco Code. So your Eco Code draws attention to your eco schools work within your school and wider community. Again, you can find more information by clicking this link. You have to tick to say that you have an Eco Code. We really love to see your Eco Codes, but you don't have to have shared one. So I'm just going to choose to not share my Eco Code for this, but you can again upload files or add a link just as I showed you before. Now here we're asking for a celebration photo. So this is the only place that we specifically ask to see a photo. Again, this is not mandatory though, so you don't actually have to show any photos as part of your Green Flag Award application, although we do love to see your photos. But here we'd love to see a photo that shows a successful aspect of your Green Flag journey. So I'm going to upload a file here. That shows how successful my green flag was. And then we ask if you can give us approval to share this photo across our communication channels. So that just means that we can use it for promotion and for sharing the amazing work that you're doing. So the photo does not have to include people. Please check for details about how we use the images. Please make sure if you do include any pupils in your photos that you have permission to share that photo. So I'm going to give approval for this photo to be shared. Then we have a box called Next Steps. So this, again, this doesn't form any part of your assessment. This is purely for you to add some notes. So for example, if you had some ideas of things that you wanted to do on your next green flag journey and you wanted to make a little note of them here so that the next eco coordinator, the next eco committee can see what you thought, you can pop them in here. We will have a look at this, so if there's anything particular that we think we might be able to help you with, we can provide some information in our feedback as well. So again, I'm just going to copy that across and save my progress. So when I get to the bottom, I need to make sure that all the mandatory sections have been completed, and that if any pupils have completed anything, that I've checked the content before submitting. We really would love to hear your thoughts about our updated application site, so you can click here to complete a short survey just to tell us a little bit of information about how you found it. So I think I'm happy. I'm going to submit my application. Again, I'm going to check my contacts, and this time I think actually I'm going to add a new contact because I want to make sure that this person, who's now one of the eco coordinators, receives the information. So I'm going to put their contact details in and select them as a main contact, and I'm going to save that. So now I'm happy that my school contacts are up to date. I'm going to save it and submit my application. However, there's a problem come up. So you can see here, it hasn't submitted the application, so it still says submit application. And there's a little thing here that tells me what my problem is. So you might have noticed when I was selecting the Sustainable Development Goals, I deselected all of them. And that was to show you what happens if you accidentally miss a bit out. So all I need to do is pop up here, and I'm going to select the 2 Sustainable Development Goals that I worked on during this Green Flag Award. So now I'm happy. I'm going to submit my application, double check my contacts again, save all and submit. And that has now been completed. So now that you've done that, you won't be able to alter any part of your application, and that includes your environmental review and your notes page. So make sure that they are all complete before you submit your application. So I'm going to go back to my home page, and then I can log out and I can wait till my application comes back. So you can see there's a little note here to say that I have submitted my application and that I'm waiting for a response. So I've just logged back in because I've had an email to tell me that my application has been successful. And I can see here, congratulations message to say that my application has been approved, and I can now view my feedback and certificate. So I can click here, and that will take me back into my application. I can scroll all the way down so you can see all the information is still there. It's just locked in place of everything that I submitted. And down at the bottom, I can download my certificate and also my feedback. So if I click that, that will take me to a file which has my feedback. So it's addressed to the main contacts, and it has all the feedback about my Green Flag Award, and also includes when my green flag is valid until. So I can come back to the main page. I say I can download my certificate as well. So you can see I've got my certificate with the date of the approval, and I can download and print that as well. So then I can go back to my home dashboard, and if I want to get back into that feedback, I can also click on the left here to view my previous application feedback. If I go into my award history, I can see now that I've got a Green Flag Award that was received on the 14th of September. Back in the home section, again, my award is now valid until 2 years' time. And if I need to then start my new application, I just click here and start again. So that's it to show you the educator side of the application system. I'm now going to show you what the pupil side looks like. Okay, so let's have a look at this from the pupil side. So to log in as a pupil, first you need to log out of your educator side if you're already in that. If not, just go to the login page as normal, but you're going to type in your pupil's login username. So that's the one that we'll have set up for you. So as I said, you need to email us to request that. You can then input the password, which we'll have also sent you, and you can log in. So pupils can complete this themselves, so they can log in. They'll see the same welcome screen, but you'll notice that their options on the left-hand side are limited. So they can't update school contact details, they can't change passwords or any of the login information. So they can see their reward history, just like you can, and they can start a new application themselves. So as a pupil, I'm going to start my new application. And I won't go through the whole application again, but it's just to show you it all looks the same, so they can fill in all the information that an educator can or an eco-coordinator can. The only things that they can't do is submit a draft action plan for feedback or submit a final application. So for example, they might have a draft action plan, so they can say that they do. They can upload a file. So they could upload their action plan file if they wanted to. But you won't see an option appear here for them to actually request feedback. So they can save their progress, and then when you come back in, you'll see that this draft action plan has been uploaded. You can double check that all the information they've submitted is correct, and then you will check the contact details and submit the final action plan. Similarly, if you go down to the bottom, you'll see again, completing your application, there is no option for them to actually submit the application. It just tells them to save their progress and then ask their teacher to log in and submit the application. So that allows pupils to complete the application themselves. So thank you so much for listening to this walkthrough video. We hope it has been useful to you in navigating our new online application system. Please contact us at ecoschools@keepscotlandbeautiful.org if you have any questions or queries. Thank you.